Okay, good afternoon all. Just a brief introduction to the Certificate of Compliance and its implementation in the Northern Territory. Our agenda for the day is the new Certificate of Compliance requirements under the new Act and regulations, what electrical work requires a Certificate of Compliance, what does not require a Certificate of Compliance, supplementary forms, who can sign off a COC, what the time frame to provide a COC, record keeping requirements and offences related to a COC. Okay, COCs are required for all electrical work. The electrical license types needed has been expanded to include some restricted license classes, such as plumbers, uh, air conditioner, refrigeration mechanics, where they're required to do disconnections and reconnections of electrical appliances. We are now working and hopefully very close to a new online approved form, which will save some paper. Anti-WorkSafe will be automatically sent a copy from the online form, and anyone using the paper forms are required to email it to anti-WorkSafe at agd.ecoc.nt.gov.au. The time frame to complete a COC has decreased to 20 working days. Electric work requiring a COC, with limited exceptions, new installations, alterations, additions, and repairs. Where an item plugs in, there's things like basic maintenance, changing light globes, etc. The COC is not required, but a COC is required for everything else, and that includes like-for-like changes of power points, light switches, etc. License types under the Electrical Safety Act, you have the standard electrical contractors and unrestricted electrical mechanics and or fitters. And also we have restricted electrical license holders, including electrical fitters, cable joiners, line workers, refrigeration mechanics, plumbers, gas fitters, instrument fitters, fire protection technicians, specialized commercial, industrial equipment workers, and maritime operations workers. What does not require a CSA? Maintenance work that does not involve installation work or alterations and additions or repairs, and installation of a temporary builder supply, which may be on a construction site. Power and Water have indicated that if you require a connection to the network for a temporary builder supply, a certificate of compliance will be required. Okay, supplementary CSE forms. There are two approved forms, electrical certificate of compliance addendum. And this covers electrical networks, energy storage systems, electric vehicles, generator changeovers, hazardous areas, inverters, patient areas, restricted license work, and solar photovoltaic systems. So if you're just doing normal electrical work, you just use the normal COC. If you're using an expanded form of work listed there, then you require the addendum as well. We also have an electrical certificate of compliance for emergency after hours repairs. This allows you to complete a paper form on site and to hand that to power and water line workers when they arrive on site to restore power. So who can sign off a COC? Electrical contractors are responsible for completing and submitting the COC. Restricted electrical license holders who do not work for an electrical contractor are also responsible for completing and submitting the COC. What is the time frame to provide a COC? It's been reduced slightly to 20 working days, but other than that, everything else is the same. Who must a COC be provided to? The owner and occupier, the person for whom the work was performed, the operator of the electricity network for work related to the electricity network, and us, anti-WorkSafe. Record keeping requirements. Electrical contractors are required to keep CSE for 5 years from the date the work was completed. Offences, failing to complete are 50 penalty units. Each penalty unit is worth $182, so quite expensive. Providing false information on a CSE is 100 penalty units, and completing a CSE for electrical work you or your worker did not complete, again, 100 penalty units. And that pretty much concludes my basic run through, and we can then swap over, and DCDD can give us a run through of the new digital CSE.
Hi, my name is Kirsten McCarthy, and I work for the Department of Corporate and Digital Development. And today we're going to give you a demonstration of the online electrical safety certificate of compliance that we've developed for NT WorkSafe. So firstly, the form's been developed for use on different devices, so mobile, iPad, and desktop. Some of the benefits of the online form is that once you completed and submitted the form, that it automatically sent to the electrical safety regulator, the network provider, the contractor will get a copy, and a copy will be sent to the customer, and if as required, if the property owner, if that's different. Also, another benefit is that the form will also pre-fill some of the information around your license details, but we'll show you throughout the demonstration. So we'll just jump straight into it. So you can see here, this is the first page of the form. You can fill it out. So we've got the what best describes you. You can fill it out like 2 ways. You can either be the electrical contractor who's filling out the entire form, or you can be the electrical worker who's performing the work on behalf of someone. So we'll in this first scenario, we'll play the role of the electrical contractor. What we do is there's a validation process for confirming your license. So first of all, we're going to do a search for the license against the electricians or the contractors' registers. So you type in your license here. This first stage of the process is it goes and searches the register. It pulls back to say that a license has been found, and it also in the background confirms that there's a valid phone number attached to that license. That'll become important a little bit later on. So this scenario here, you can see that it's found the license. So you see that little tick, yes, your license has been found. If, for instance, your license was expired, it'll basically show you a message saying your license expired, contact WorkSafe to renew your license. And then you click on the link and the ways to find contacts for WorkSafe will be shown. Also, if you don't have a valid phone number associated with your license, it'll show up a message like this. So you don't have a valid phone number, again, go to WorkSafe to update your details. And also, you might have the circumstance where you've got a valid license. There's also, if it's about to expire, it just gives you a little reminder, hey, your license is due to expire within we've got it set to 90 days at the moment. We can set that to anything, but contact WorkSafe to update your details. This one will still allow you to continue on with the form. The other ones with the expired license, or if there isn't a valid phone number associated with the license, it'll prevent you from going further in the online form. The second step to the process is the license verification. You'll need a PIN for this, and this is why the phone number on your license associated with the license is so important, because a PIN will be sent to the phone number with your on your license. So you can see here we're requesting a new PIN. PINs basically last, we've got it set to last for 2 weeks at this point. You can see it's sent to a particular phone number, the messaging down below. So we're just entering in your PIN number and you validate. And you can see here once you've validated, that's confirmed that you are authorised, the contractor authorised to fill out this COC. So moving through the other pages of the form, we have our standard privacy or our collection notice, and that just outlines how Entity WorkSafe deal with your information that you provide, who the information will be shared with, and if you need to, where to go if you need further information or to change or access the information that's held about you. On the certificate of compliance, if you're the contractor that's filling in the entire form, there's a requirement that you provide both of your contractor license details and also your electrical worker license number. So if you just enter in your electrical worker license number and search the database, we're not doing the two-step process here. It's just confirming that there is a electrical worker license, electrician license there. The next page is all about the customer. So you can have, we've got 3 different types of customers, and sort of depending on how you answer this is the questions that the fields that will ask you to fill out. So you can be the owner, occupier, the occupier but not the owner, so someone else who's actually requested, like a property manager or a body corporate that's requested the work to be done. For this one, we'll just select the owner and occupier. And it's a simple matter of filling out the customer details. Phone number, customer email. This is the email where a copy of the COC will be sent to on submission, and the property address where the work was performed. This is a lookup, so you can start typing the address and it'll see if it can find an address in the territory that matches. If not, if you can't find your address, you can actually manually fill in the address if need be. Next. Now onto the electrical work details. This is about all the work that you've done. So first of all, we're asking for the date the electrical work was completed, asking if for the network provider, whether it's power and water or otherwise, the type of electrical work. This is a multi-select list, so you can select more than one. And some of the, if you make selections, say like the inverter, it'll ask you to fill in additional information. So for the inverter, it provides a separate description of the inverter work undertaken. It'll also ask you for the make, model and serial number, for example, and allow you to attach photos about specifically relating to the inverter location. There's a defects and non-compliance section. So if you were to select yes, you provide more details about the non-compliances that were observed and weren't repaired at the time. If you select no, there's no need to enter anything else. And you're also provided with the opportunity to upload any additional photos or documents associated with the work undertaken. The next page is simply a review page, so it just enables you to run through all of the answers you've already provided. The blue change buttons on the right-hand side, if you find you've entered something in error, you can just hit that button. It'll take you directly back to the page where you entered in on, and so you can amend it. Otherwise, you'd go past that. And then there's a declaration page, which you'll have to fill out at the end. Complete all of the declarations, just do the recapture, which is confirming you're not a robot, and then you can submit the form. So this final page here is basically saying you've successfully submitted your online COC, gives you a reference number, and it lets you know that an email's been copied, the email's been sent to you with a copy of it, and who else has actually been sent a copy of the COC, depending on how you filled out the form. You can also see at the top there's a link to the actual attachment. This is the a copy of the COC, and so it's just populating all of the information that you've provided, and this will be attached to the email that's sent to everyone that's been copied in on the email. So that completes the scenario for the electrical contractor filling in the form. What we'll do now is we'll follow the path of if you're an electrical worker. This is back to the first page of the form if you're an electrical worker, and we ask who the electrical work is performed on behalf of. So it can be performed on behalf of an electrical contractor, a business that doesn't hold an electrical contractor license, or other work, including personal work for yourself or relatives. Again, there's the need for the verification of an existing license. This time it's the electrician's license. So we're searching the database, making sure that a license exists. There's a valid mobile number associated with it. Again, you'll need to do the validation by PIN. This time we've got one that we've received in the last 2 weeks, and we've successfully verified who we are. Next. Again, the privacy, just skip over that one this time. The customer details, that hasn't changed from the last time we ran through, so we'll just fill all those fields in. Moving on to the electrical work details. Again, this is exactly the same as it was in the last scenario that we ran through. Depending on what you select in the work type, it will depend on what you have to fill in. Now, with the electrical worker, we come to the sign-off details page, and it's asked, are you authorised to sign off on behalf of the electrical contractor? So that can either be yes or no. If I was to say, yes, I am authorised to sign off, I'm asked, what is the electrical contractor license number that I'm performed the work under? So I would do a search on that. So it's just doing a search on the database, no validation, but it does have a reminder down the bottom that that a copy of the certificate of compliance will be sent to the email that's registered to the contractor license as a protection mechanism. So the contractor will receive a copy. If I say no, we'll go back to the sign-off details. If I say no, we simply put in the electrical contractor email. And this is where we're going to go it's going to be sent to the contractor to sign off on the form. Again, the electrical worker can review their answers that they've provided, and then they have to fill in the declaration. And then the electrical worker would submit that. The certificate of compliance hasn't been issued at this stage. It's this page is basically saying that an email's been sent to the contractor for review, and there's the email that's been provided. And in that email will be a link and an access code to recommence the form. And once you click on the link, it'll take you to this resume your application. You copy the code, you'd have an access code, and resume the application. That brings you back to the form, and you can see I'm now in the role of the contractor who's signing off on some electrical work my electrician's done. It provides them a view of all of the answers provided, but the fields are actually locked down at this point. There is a place where you can actually provide comments. So after viewing the information that's been provided by the electrical worker, the contractor is now required to validate who they are. So again, we're going to search for your license, one that exists. We're going to use our PIN to verify who we are. And once that's done, we can provide comment, any additional details about the work undertaken. If required. Again, the review page, if you want to have a look over your answers provided. Contractor also makes a declaration. Confirms they're not a robot and submits. And again, this is your finished page. This is but the end of the certificate of compliance has been issued, who it's been sent to. A copy's been sent to the contractor. You can download a copy here at this point here if you want to, but it will also be attached to the email. So that's basically the scenarios that we're going to run through today. Hand you back to WorkSafe, or keep it open if you've got questions.
Yep. Okay. Thanks. So we've got a question here from Nathan Bailey. Should there be a selection for commercial mining? So Nathan, we do actually have a section for the new in-house electrical license. We haven't issued any in-house licensing yet, but that function has been built. It's just hidden at the moment. So if you're employed by a commercial mine as an electrician, then there will be a process for you to fill out a COC, and that will go to the in-house license holder, being the mine itself. But once that function is online, we can probably do a quick video demonstration. Kirsten, sorry to put you on the spot. We could do something like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. So if that hasn't answered your question, Nathan, please pop another question in the chat. Kirsten, I'll throw Jasmine's question through to you. How many customer emails can be used in addition to the home owner occupier? So a bit of background, Jasmine is from Dipple, and I'm guessing Dipple would like a copy of the COCs for the electrical work that they've engaged for their properties that they manage.
So Jasmine, additional emails, it can be, so if there's a property owner as well, we allow for that to be entered. So there's only sort of the ability to like customer and the property owner at this point.
So Al, I'm not quite understanding what you mean. Is it the same for marine? So if that would probably, so you're an electrician that you're working for, I guess a marine repair or like maintenance company. Is that correct? And you're doing electrical work on their behalf. There is sort of a workflow which we didn't go through where you can sort of fill out a COC that gets issued to that. So Kirsten, could we potentially go back and just run through that one?
Yeah, sure. So it's pretty much the same process. So you can see how we've got like the R in there. So it's basically just letting you know that we're looking for a restricted license. So you just put that one in, do your search for your license. Again, license verification with your PIN. We're just getting your PIN. Validate that. And then same, the pages for the customer details and the electrical work would be the same. The difference would be that we're asking for the business details. Do you know at this point we've got like, do you know the business ABN? This field here, you could do an ABN lookup and retrieve the registered business details, or if you don't know the ABN, you can select no and then just type in what's the business name. And then the business email, we'd ask for that, and then that would send a copy of the certificate of compliance to the business email. And then once you filled in your declaration and hit submit, that would would send the COC out.
Yep. So Darwin Gasman, hopefully that demo's just answered your question. Just going down to Zenek, Robin, if you can just enable your mic and explain the requirements for authorizing an electrical worker. But with that process that was demonstrated earlier, if a worker clicks yes, they're authorized and they're not, you as a contractor will automatically get a copy of the COC. So if they're issuing, and they can't change the email, because obviously when they're putting in the contractor's license number, it's pulling the email that's attached to that license in the electrical licensing database. So if you've got a worker who is issuing COCs without your authorization, you're going to see those emails because they're going to come through, and then you can take the appropriate action. So that could be obviously, maybe terminating employment, but obviously that's also an offence under the Electrical Safety Act. And if it's brought to our attention, we can certainly take action against that electrical worker. Robin, do you have anything else to add to that?
Yeah, so there's 100 penalty units associated with that offence. So that's $18,200. So it's a pretty good incentive not to do it.
So Robin, do you want to answer Craig's question, which is the next one? But sorry, just to explain, there was a question in the CAC about who is the network provider, and the options were Power and Water and other. So Power and Water is the major network provider across the territory, but there are some other sort of communities where the network provider is like the mine, the nearby mine, so to speak. So if you're in a community and it's not Power and Water who's your network provider, just click other. The COC will come to the electrical safety team, and then they'll get that COC off to whoever the mine operator is that's providing the network. Obviously, down the line, if we get a new network operator enter the territory, we can update that online COC. But at this point in time, it's Power and Water or other, and we will sort out the other. Kirsten, I'll hand you Steve's question about an app.
So there's not an app for this, just the online form at the moment. There is a larger piece of work being done at the moment, where the NTG is developing a centralised service for customers to transact with the Northern Territory government, where you could create an account and in like the future state might look like you associate your licenses with it, provide you with some benefits like autofilling, save and resume, linking to existing accounts. But that's a future state, and that's a large piece of work that's being worked on at the moment.
Robin, can you take the next question regarding the COC framework for the Maritime Ministry?
It's essentially the same as the one that exists. I mean, I realise that this is an in-house COC, so we haven't run that through that today. But yeah, I mean, if you're a worker and you're not working for a contractor per se, then it's the same system.
And can you also address Nathan's regarding mines that produces its own power?
Yes, COCs are required for all work, regardless of who's generating power.
Kirsten, Lucy's question about additional email addresses.
I mean, we can certainly take that on board. If you could be the owner occupier, or you could be the tenant. You can also be like we say like a business that's requesting it on behalf of the tenant or the property owner. But we can certainly take that on board and have some discussions about that.
Al, I've actually enabled your mic, so can you just unmute that? So I've just gotten to the question, or sorry, your response saying that you're not a restricted license holder. Can you sort of explain what license you currently hold?
G'day, mate. So I currently hold a mechanical A-grade license. So I work down at the Navy base. I've worked down the Navy base for the past 15 years. We've always been told that we don't need to submit COCs working on Navy platforms. I see that that's changed now. If we have to, I've been in discussions with my employer about the change with the in-house licensing. We're in talks about organising that as we speak. But we are not we're not a restricted license. We're a full A-grade license. That was all. When we were shown that example there, it only gave us the option for the restricted license. But if there is an in-house one that's going to become available whenever that comes online, that's fine. We'll just use that. That's no problem.
Yeah, the in-house has been built. It just needs a bit of finessing. But as I said, I'm right next to the licensing team, and we haven't issued any in-house licenses yet. So we've just hidden that feature for now, but it will be available.
Perfect. Once that's up and running, that's good. Because we obviously, I work for a company, a large company that we've got to go through our process and also so that's why I've not received anything from us as of yet for an in-house license. But it looks like that's certainly the way that we'll be going. So thank you for that.
Not a problem. Kirsten, can you address Steve's regarding internet? There's no sort of option to do anything, is it? So Steve, there is the hard copy book that's still available. Just give me 2 secs, Steve. I'll just enable your mic, and then we can have a bit of a discussion just to make sure that we properly answer your question.
Okay, yeah, I think you can hear me now. The first question was if you're not an internet service area, so a paper form would achieve that. The other question was about what if there's no physical address for the actual electrical work, e.g. a mobile gen set, which could be on the back of a truck getting fixed or something. And the other one was about, is there an opportunity for an electrician to do the work without a contractor involved, as historically was done without fee or reward? Comment on the COC.
So Robin, do you want to answer the second one? So the first one's been answered. The second one about no physical address.
Yeah, I mean, you can only provide the description that you've got. I mean, it might be a caravan with a generator, or I should say, it might be a truck. I mean, if you're doing mains voltage electrical work there on that supply system, then yep, just provide the best description that you can. Sorry, go on.
Sorry, but I guess with an online form, because it's asking you to validate that physical address, Steve, it might be that just the paper COC that's available from the TVC is what you'd use for that.
Yeah. Or sorry,
Yep.
Peter, if in the search you can't find the address, you can also do a manual override, and there are some fields that you can type in free text that you could put that in. And I mean, we can also discuss which fields, like if suburban, state, whatever, are mandatory, or but there is ability to put in some free text in the address if you do it manually.
Yeah. And Steve, for your last question, there was and Kirsten, correct me if I'm wrong, there is actually a third option where you are doing electrical work for yourself or family for no fee or reward. That wasn't.
Oh, sorry, Peter. Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, so we didn't demonstrate that one, but there is that third option where it's other for like doing personal work.
Okay, thanks.
So, Robin, is there any rule changes around that one, or is it the same as the previous legislation?
It's essentially the same. The only limitation now is it's for immediate family only, or for your own property. So you can no longer do it for friends.
All right. So Steve's question is about setting up an email address for COCs. Look, Steve, whatever is best for your business. Obviously, you've got there's that record keeping requirement where you have to keep copies of the COC. From sort of personal experience, if you've got things going to a individual's email, if that individual then leaves the company, that's going to cause issues. So yeah, probably best to set up a generic, even if it's to like an admin account or something like that. Kirsten, Lee's question, if I can throw to you.
So it's not up and running at the moment, but depending on the feedback we get from today's and you know, any alterations and further testing, probably looking at October to have it up. That's sort of, we've had some discussions with WorkSafe on that.
Okay, Robin, can you address Neil's question, please?
Hey, Neil. The regulator has indicated all electrical work, with the exception of simple repairs or temporary construction supplies. So she wants to see COCs for everything.
Steve, you can contact us about getting added as a network provider. So if you just send that request through to our generic, which is ntworksafe@nt.gov.au. I'll chuck it in the chat. We'll have a look at that. The next, Steve, regarding licenses, we are experiencing a bit of a backlog. So NT WorkSafe took over the licensing function on 1 July, and unfortunately we had inherited quite a backlog of applications from the previous department. So we are working through that as quickly as we can. Obviously, the electrical licensing process is new for our team. So we are, you know, it took a bit of time just to get them up to speed, but we are churning through that as quickly as we can, and we are adding resources to get that done. So my understanding currently is from the team is that it's probably a 6 to 8 week. However, if you have submitted a license, no, yours is a new license. New license as in you've never held an electric license, or new license as you've renewed your license and you are waiting on that. If it's a renewal and you renewed and paid for it before your license expiry, you can still operating on your expired license under that receipt. If I haven't answered that, or if this is still unclear, just chuck another question in the chat, please. Kirsten, can you answer the Jetstream email, please?
Okay. At this stage, no, there's only the facility for the electrical contractor to provide additional comments about that. If a form has been sent from an electrical worker to a contractor, there's an expiry period of it's currently set to 14 days, and you'll get a reminder at 3 days out. So the form, like the COC won't sort of remain open, but and yeah, so it's basically a resubmit at this point in time. I mean, we can sort of take that on board, and maybe that's something we can talk about.
Yeah, certainly something we can look at if an error's been made. Or I'm guessing the other thing is if as a contractor you reviewed a COC and you feel that there's some information missing, the contractor can add a comment to it and send it back. And then is there the ability for then the worker to re-edit?
At this stage, no, it's not. But yeah, that's something.
That's something we can look at.
The shout, yeah.
Yep. Robin, can you address the next question from Lindsay?
It's the same as before. I mean, as descriptive as you can be without going overboard, of course, common sense. But I mean, you're not just going to put a house on it and send it in. So we'll need a breakdown of what you've installed in the house, etc. In response to your question about charging for lodging online COCs, no, there was never a discussion about charging at all. So as far as I'm aware, unless told otherwise, it's going to be free.
So Billy Ray's question is about if the contractor is away for more than 14 days. So Kirsten, I guess with that instance, we could potentially widen the time frame.
Yeah, absolutely. That's just something we've set while we'd be building the form. But if you would like that period extended, absolutely. Also,
Yeah.
the reminder periods that your one's still outstanding, you can reset that as well.
So Billy Ray, I guess the thing is the new act requires the COC to be completed and sent to the customer within 20 days. So I guess we wouldn't extend it for more than that period. And if you're away for an extended period, how would your business operate? If you're away and you've not authorized any of your workers, then you're not going to be compliant with that requirement to submit that COC for 20 days. So we can look at extending that time frame before the COC expires, but I guess you'll need to put in some policies for your business. Mitchell. Well, Mitchell, this presentation is recorded. We could do another one where we record sort of like a training video internally, and then we'll post it onto our YouTube channel. Would that be sufficient for your in-house training needs? Robin, can you answer Joel's question, please?
Hi, Joel. At the present time, like for like is fine. There are some new considerations from the 1st of July 2026 that we're still working through. So obviously that's 18 months away, and we'll certainly let industry know about that before it comes into effect.
Kirsten, can I throw Billy Ray's to you? I don't think a worker could sign both sections.
So a worker can't sign both. Well, a worker can do it if they're authorised. If they're authorised to sign off on behalf of the electrical contractor licence, they can enter the basic contractor's email, and then the contractor will still get a copy of the email. But yeah, they can sign off if they're authorised. Short answer.
So Robin, can you just provide an outline as to like what the authorization is under the Act? So what do people need to do?
Yeah, the Act is simply says a person who conducts electrical work must complete a certificate of compliance that certifies the electrical work was tested and safe, and the electrical work complies with the Act. So if the person who conducts the electrical work is employed or engaged to carry out the work by the holder of an electrical contractor license that is not authorized to complete a certificate of compliance, the holder of the contractor license must complete the certificate instead of the person who conducts the electrical work. And of course, must be done within 20 days.
As for the information on website, if you're an electrical contractor and you've got workers who you trust, you can authorize them to sign off on the COCs on your behalf, but you need to have a policy around that, and you need to maintain a record of that. So there is a template on the website and a requirement to keep a register of your electrical workers, and there's a column in there where you could sort of indicate that they are authorized. So as demonstrated, if the worker ticks and says they're authorized, the contractor will get an email of that COC being issued. So if you haven't authorized that worker, you'll see, and you can take your internal actions, report to WorkSafe, and we could take further action. Obviously, if you're not authorizing your workers, I would suggest that you don't give them access to the email account that's receiving the COCs to prevent sort of any fraud or anything like that. Robin, can you respond to Renee's question, please, about issuing COCs for property that they own but being rented out?
If you own the property and you're working on your own property, that's a no fee and reward. So that's just the other selection as an electrical worker on the online COC.
Michael, I'm just give me a minute while I enable your mic, just so we can sort of clarify your question.
Yeah, I'm just sitting at Michael's desk. Yeah, I just don't see it very clearly still. As far as carrying out any electrical work, are you not able to fill out a COC without supplying a contractor's email?
Sorry, that was actually my error in what I said. If you are authorised to sign off, the form is set up that you say, yes, I'm authorised. You enter the contractor licence that you're performing the work under, and then submit the form. And the associated email with the contractor licence, it will automatically send it to that. Entering the contractor's email is basically when you're not authorised to sign, and then it sends it off for that sign-off process.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. So if you don't work under a contractor, you don't have a contractor's licence, what, you're not able to do any work.
So no, there was that other option for if you were sort of employed, like, if you're a refrigeration or an air conditioning and, your employer's not a contractor, there was that option there where you just enter the business details.
So as an A-grade electrician, you can use that option.
Robin?
Well, who are you working for?
Well, I often work for myself, but I do work for a company, like a resort sort of company. So, and obviously they will eventually get an in-house license, but in general, doing other work, if you're not working under a contractor's license, you can't do other work.
Well, you shouldn't be contracting out if you don't have a contractor's license.
What if you're working for yourself? You have to have a contractor's license?
Yes.
So once the in-house licenses come out.
So the in-house license is only for large companies that may need to retain an electrician. So mine sites, remote resorts, like say, the resort out at Uluru, I've heard the hospital has electricians on their staff. So that's what an in-house license for. It's not for an A-grade electrician to then contract out. So it's actually a restriction against an in-house license. So you can't contract out. So, and that's for the in-house license holder as well. So if you're working on, say, for a mine site, so a mine site employs you, the mine has an in-house license. The mine can't then contract you out to, say, the nearby community to do electrical work. You can only do work, and Robin, I see Corey is our from our policy area, correct me if I'm wrong, you can only do work on the infrastructure and property for the that belongs to the in-house license holder.
Yeah, correct. Okay. So the company will get an in-house license through their company. They don't have to have a licensed electrician to get that in-house license?
You would become a nominee on that license, but no, it's up to the business themselves to get the in-house license.
Yeah, okay. Well, that's clearer. Thank you for that.
So Steve, there's application forms on our website. I'll drop a link into that in a minute where you can apply for an in-house license.
Yeah, for MR, we're not beating people up at the moment for going overdue. I mean, as long as you're getting them in at this stage, it's a new system, so everyone's having teething problems.
So this question is about, as a restricted license holder, do we need to have a contractor's license? So this is a gas guy.
The answer to that, as a restricted license holder, do we need to have a contractor's license? No, you don't. Contractor's licenses can only be for companies. So restricted license holders usually are not a business or a company, so they can't hold a contractor's license in most cases.
Sorry, that person speaking was Brian Cleary. He's our senior electrical licensing officer. He was just having some issues with his mic, so he just jumped onto my headset. Robin, we do have a question from Al. No, sorry, not from Al, from Lee.
Generally not replacing a plug, but you are expected to test it in line with everything else. Smoke alarms, they're controlled via the anti-fire service, not anti-WorkSafe. So you want to have a chat about them.
But the legislation does, from 2026, require smoke alarms to be installed when you're installing a battery storage system or a rapid charge EV charger. So
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
So the only, I guess, requirements of the Electrical Safety Act is ensuring that if you install one of those, you need to install a smoke alarm within the vicinity of that installation. But everything else in terms of regulations is NT fire.
Darwin Gasman, yeah, correct. No CIC for component replacement. But if you're replacing the stove, then yes, a CIC is required.
So look, on Wednesday, again at the barbecue, industry feedback was to provide examples where we can in our information. So we will be reviewing the information that we've published, and we will be including some examples if we feel that there's something that's unclear. But as I said, if there are any questions, feedback that you want to provide, just send us through an email, and then we'll look at that. So it is new legislation. We're not here to set you guys up to fail, but there is going to be, I guess, a balance between, I guess, making things easier for industry and also having regulatory oversight. Joel, Kirsten, are you still there? I believe Kirsten did say that we were aiming in October. And
depending on the feedback from today's session, any changes and just further testing, but sort of like aiming for October. As soon as possible, really, is the.
And for Jasmine's comment, we're aiming for, say, 1st of January to sort of transition to more.
So there was a related question in the industry session that that Peggy the regulator gave, and what she indicated was that we are in an education phase. It's new legislation, so we're not going to come down hard in terms of any sort of new requirements under the laws, but there will be hard compliance for any requirement under the wiring rules, because those rules have been in place for quite a number of years now. So there will be hard compliance on that. If there are no other questions, we'll call it a day. But if something does pop into your mind, as I said, just shoot us an email and we'll get a response back to you. So thanks all for taking the time and logging in and joining us today.